I'm Tess Tyler, and I am a composer for film, television and video games. I also write my own music, so I kind of release records and things on my own as well, and dabble in a bit of library music too. So kind of across the spectrum of media composition, and got like a little bit of a finger in the pie of recording artist as well. And I lecture on the composition for TV and film course at DBS Music.
Hi there, I'm Jeremy. I work for Ground Shatter Games as an audio designer, and I recently graduated last year from DBS from the game audio course.
Hi, I'm Adam Taylor, and I compose music for media, so whether that be television, film or games, and I also compose library music. I've been a member of staff at DBS Music for 5 years now, and I teach on the FDA Audio Music Technology course and the Sound for Games and Apps course. Working as a film composer, it's an interesting transition from being either a music producer or a regular composer, in a sense that you're no longer writing music for yourself, you're writing music to help progress and enhance the director's creative vision. And essentially, your main objective when writing music for a scene is to enhance that scene, either in a dramatic way or a very subtle way, depending on the picture you're working to, depending on the scene itself.
What I do as a composer is to enhance whatever narrative is being given by the visual material of a project. So that could be a TV program, it could be a feature film, short film, it could be a video game. Each of these disciplines are quite varied. The processes are varied, and I don't think we've got time to go into all of them, but the overarching similarity is basically the ability to be able to read the narrative. So you'd work with a director or a producer to try and come to this kind of overall conclusion, what is required from the score.
You want to really enhance the mood that is being set by either the story, the narrative, or whatever visuals are on the screen. And if that's it's a bit different between film and video games, because film is a linear media, so you know exactly when different moments are going to happen, and in the music you can really tie that in with the pacing of the music that match up perfectly with these points, whereas in game it's hard to tell and has to kind of adapt to the timings of the game.
I have a story. I remember the moment when I knew that this was the career that I wanted to do. I was at Disney World in Florida with my parents. I was 12 years old, and there was this firework display at the Epcot Center, and it was set to this most beautiful piece of music. I think it's still probably one of my favorite pieces of orchestration ever. It's called Illuminations by a guy called Gavin Greenaway. And the firework display was timed to the music in a really complex and meaningful way. It was really, really stunning. And I remember kind of looking at the audience. So there were obviously a mixture of kids and adults, and my parents were there. And both my parents were in floods of tears. And, all of these people were they had them, their kind of mouths aghast kind of thing at what they were seeing. And I remember it was probably my first real adult thought. I needed to understand why it was so moving. I was moved, but I was it was almost like I was zoomed out of the whole thing. I was just watching everybody watching it. And something switched on in my brain. It was just like, it was just this kind of need to understand, what is it about this marriage between what you're hearing and what you're seeing that is making people be provoked in such a strong emotional way?
So I've been pretty set on wanting to make music and audio for any visuals for a long, long time, since I started producing music rather than just playing an instrument. And it was when I really started making my own tracks. And then it happened to kind of fit a style where people would listen to it and be like, oh, that would be great in a video game, that would be great in a film. And that was kind of really helped encourage me to pursue it. and doing a degree in it is kind of setting your intentions right there. I think growing up and having like people that I looked up to, no one in my close family, parents or brothers and sisters or anything, musical especially, but a close family friend, a guy called Barrington Phelan, who's the composer for Inspector Morse. I looked up to him quite a lot and used to visit him a lot, and he taught me a bunch about composing and let me sort of into his world a bit and see what it's like. And it was like, this is the coolest job ever. I want to be part of that. So he was definitely really big part of that.
When I was at college, all I wanted to do was produce house music and DJ. I was DJing around the club circuit in Leeds at the time. While studying music technology BTEC, I did a module, what was sound for screen. And I just found it fascinating writing a piece of music to picture in a style that at that time it was just completely alien to me. And I just found it really interesting just using instrumentation and techniques that I just wouldn't usually partake in. And I think even at this stage now, I still find it very rewarding to step outside my comfort zone and work within styles that I wouldn't usually work in. I find it to be a great learning experience.
I initially struggled a lot with the production side of things rather than just composing and arranging. So I didn't have a tech background at all, just from playing piano and composing. So wrapping my head around how important things being mixed well was a big challenge for me, and was still a really big challenge for me when I started working at Ground Chatter. Spending more time with it and getting more familiar with it, it comes together so quickly because your ears and your brain does the work for you. You just spend time and you know what sounds good and doesn't sound good. And when you're doing it for a job, then it's forcing you to spend a crap load of time on it. And that's the key, because you're spending time and your product will just get better and better and better in a very short space of time.
At the start of my career, when contacting people in the industry, I wish I'd have known how to create an effective composer show reel. At the time, I used to put a wide variety of compositions in, and I can appreciate now some of the directors opening up that show reel and it just being a bit of a collage of my own internal thoughts. I think it's very important, and there's a lot of them on the media platforms, to go and look at established composers and look at their current show reels. There's a lot to be learned by just observing other people's work and taking some of them ideas on board. Sending them like 5 pieces of music, all 5 minutes long, like no one is listening to that. It needs to be. Someone's going to probably have like a free minute capacity to listen to all of your work. What
I found really, really difficult is being ignored by potential collaborators. I way preferred the rejections. You know, when you actually get an email back saying, sorry, you're not right for us, or, we're not looking for anybody at this time. That was far more useful. Being ignored, it still is brutal. But at the beginning, obviously, it's the majority. You don't hear back from so many people.
Have fun, because it's a really, really fun industry to work in. So don't ever forget that. When it becomes professional, treat it like you're making music normally, because that's what you're used to, and that'll make the best product is when you're enjoying yourself.
Be resilient. It will get better. It does get better if you keep going, because really, the only reason that I'm working today really is because I've been on the scene for a long time. People have heard my name because I've stuck around. I'm not going anywhere. And eventually your name gets passed around, and if somebody likes what you do, you'll get hired,